It's HTV Today, Houston Television's showcase of city government. Let's go.
All right. H-Town, we're back again with HTV Today. I'm the host, Ted Irving, with executive producer Mariana Oyan Gurin. I like saying that, man. I like to mix that up, Oyan Gurin. And then DJ extraordinaire, audio operations, Terry Carter. You gotta say that with me. You have to say that with me. You have to say Carter. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sweat Hogs. You remember those days?
I do.
You remember that? Yeah. Mr. Carter. You remember Mr. Carter? Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. We have a special guest in the house today. Well, everybody's special. They're all city employees, so they're all special. And our guest,
all essential too, right? We're all essential.
All essential. Yeah, that's right. All essential. So our guest is Dr. Stephen Hall, and he is morning. Welcome. And he's the director of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. And so, Dr. Hall, I like that tie.
Oh, thank you.
Patriotic.
Yep. Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue. Right.
As often as I can wear it.
And hey, he is also a veteran. Got to give it up for the vets.
Yes.
Give it up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
On the front lines.
Give it up. So, want to know a little bit about you because this show is about city employees.
Okay.
Where they're from, how did they get to the city, what do they do for the city. We want to showcase all the great talent in the city. So, to start, where are you from?
I'm from all over. My family generations all served in the military, so I traveled quite a bit. Believe it or not, I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but I was born in Maine.
In Maine, okay.
And then spent the rest of my childhood growing up all over the world.
I love Rockport, by the way.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, my mom, my sister.
I don't know what's happening. I'm not hearing him.
Because I hear him good.
It's going dead again, huh?
I got you. I see the levels.
Okay, well
go ahead and talk, Doc.
Because I'm not hearing
Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
1, 2. Yes.
No? Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, no, Rockport, Maine was gorgeous. So you're from Maine, so yeah.
I am, yeah. It's a beautiful country up there. I haven't been back in years. My mom goes back there quite often. She was born there. My sister was born there, and I was born there. My dad was Navy, believe it or not.
Right.
Up in Maine.
Right.
But he was from Alabama. So that's a whole different, whole different, part of the country.
He went from the south all the way.
He did. Finally, I guess he kept going north, and they say that the further north he went, the handsomer he got. And he spent 23 years in the Navy.
Okay.
And I spent 25 in the Air Force. My entire family served.
Wow. Oh, that's great. So talk about, a little bit about high school and then the transition to military college. How did that come about?
So I was the typical young man. My father had spent 23 years in the Navy. I thought I had served too. And so when, you come around that high school, college age, I was the guy that actually went to football to play college.
Right.
I had it backwards.
You had it backwards, yeah.
I had no idea, the importance of academics and that sort of thing. And so I went to junior college in San Diego, so my father had retired. So by the time I was 16, 17, 18 years of age. And about a year and a half, 2 years into that, I wanted more of a challenge, something else to do.
Right.
And then that's when the military started looking like a very viable option. Still wanted to go to school, but I wanted to see the world. I had that itch.
Right.
And met with all the different recruiters, and ultimately decided to join the Air Force.
And so did your dad, chop on you a little bit, jokes, because instead of going into the Navy, right, following him.
Yeah, those jokes, it doesn't take too long before they start getting collegial, joking about one another.
Right.
His advice was really good. I think he was encouraged that I even wanted to join. I think for him, that serving something larger than yourself, I think was what was, impressed upon us as children. And then, he actually said, and I love all the sister services. I think we all, regardless of the uniform we wear, but he put it to me in a way I think was more of a challenge. He said, if you can get in the Air Force, which I thought was kind of odd. I thought, if you can fog a mirror, you can get
Right.
in any
You're
service.
like, if.
Yes, and then he said, he said the services are great. Any one that you choose is a noble profession. But I think for some reason he just thought, try Air Force. And so I talked to all the services and ultimately decided the Air Force was the best, career path for me.
Wow. So for those of us who didn't go in the military, I mean, so what is that experience like in the Air Force? And did it really prepare you for what you're doing now in civilian life?
I think it does. I think anyone that goes into the service has a richer life now. And I don't mean to diminish anyone else's life.
Gotcha.
But I think it opens up another experiential level of your life where you are thrust into situations probably more often than not. I've always kind of looked at it in the sense of it'll challenge you, raises your tensile strength.
Tensile,
right, through heat.
Right.
Through heat and pressure. I kind of go back to an old saying long ago. Thucydides in 400 BC said, "Society that separates its scholars from its warriors will have its thinking done by cowards and its fighting done by fools." But what Thucydides, and he was a military man, but what Thucydides was really saying, as I see it, was that you can be a social warrior. You don't have to wear a uniform, but you can serve in a myriad of different ways. And so, but it didn't dawn on me until I actually decided to serve in the military that I began to see how, being all over the world, we see individuals serving in very different capacities and still getting things done. So that's what was impressed upon me.
Wow. So, Terry, did you hear that, Mariana? Did you hear that? Thucydides. So see, Doc got me where I can't even. Now I'm in my academic mind. I thought we were gonna be wild and cut up and have fun, and we're having fun. But because now, you got me thinking of Pliny the Elder and Herodotus and all the other stuff, man. I remember those days. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, it's all coming back.
You're like, okay, Socrates.
Right,
So what you got, Socrates?
Yeah. Oh, my history days. So. Okay, so you're in the Air Force, and you spend your time in the Air Force, serve the country. Talk about just maybe one or two of really some of the coolest places you've been to while you were in the Air Force.
Typically you ask a military person where they've been, and I have been everywhere. Places we were supposed to be and places we weren't supposed to be. So I always kind of shy away from picking the very, this one or that. Or I will tell you that some of my fondest memories were in the Pacific Rim, in Asia.
All right.
I think it's a beautiful part of the world. But Europe is beautiful, and South America is beautiful, and Central America is beautiful.
Japan was incredible.
It was. I spent 7 years there. I know that you and I have some history together. As a matter of fact, we were. In the first class here, not too long ago.
Yeah, we were classmates.
Went through our own orientation, so
new employee classmates.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it was Tokyo was a great experience. All my children were there. Everything from the cherry blossoms to Mount Fuji,
Ginza District.
Oh, the whole.
Remember that when you go shopping, all the little electronic town.
Yep. I remember being back in Okinawa back when we had just given it back to the U.S. had basically turned it over.
Right.
And so driving on the other side of the road and getting in on the wrong side of the car. All of those sorts of things. But then meeting the people, just absolutely phenomenal.
But what's cool about Japan? I mean, I know you have your PhD. You are an academician, but I'm pretty sure you have that historical background. And so it was amazing to find and see all of the plastic buildings that they built because during the war, we shot, a lot of the forest was destroyed. And so they built, and they still had some of those plastic buildings. I thought that was amazing.
It was amazing. I think we used to, and we would actually help. We'd go through the jungle areas and help, kind of stake out, or mark off territories so that the local nationals could go and check. We found caves and pottery and, was able to save a good deal of that, through those years.
Right.
And there was just great experience. Go to the castles, which are not your typical castles like you'd see in Europe. They're a little bit different, but the idea is still the same. It's just beautiful, beautiful.
Oh man, it was. So now, travel, military, you retire. So how did you get to, so from the time you get out of the military to the city of Houston, I mean, what transpired that I guess helped you or enabled you to get to the city of Houston?
So it wasn't with intent. Really what had happened was I was coming up on an opportunity to either retire or stay in. Could have re-enlisted if I wanted to. I was coming up on the 20-some-odd year mark. And I started thinking about what would that look like? What would the transition look like? And at what point in time would I even do it? And then you start thinking about age. I was around 48, I think, at the time, 48, 49. I thought by the time I retire, will I even be viable in the civilian world?
Right.
And I think that was a really motivating factor for me to consider looking at the civilian world. I knew I wanted to be somewhere south of the Mason-Dixon line. I knew I wanted to work on my golf game, things like that, and be able to be out in the sun,
No Maine?
No, I had no desire to go back.
Yeah,
No, beautiful country, but just didn't want to do it.
Right.
And I had a lot of friends, in San Antonio and a lot of the other cities that knew when I finally put the word out that I was going to retire. Networking was key in transition. It's key for your success. Aside from a resume and transferable skill sets and all that, having a network of support is crucial to your overall success. And I was able to leverage that. Came out to San Antonio, and then over a period of time, I got a call from a university system in Arizona who said, "Hey, we're trying to build this military vertical program for vets and putting them in school, and we don't understand the GI Bill and some of the new stuff that's coming out. Can you help?" And I did. And I was a young man at the time. School was important. But believe it or not, when I retired in 2006, I didn't even so much as have an associate's degree.
Wow.
I was one class away from an associate's degree. And so the rest is history. I realized how important. I had 100-some-odd semester hours and no degree. But that speaks to a majority of our military population. You're going to go to school. You're going to be in a technical school, a college setting, that sort of thing, and you're going to amass credit. I just never focused enough to say, well, let me, like S&H green stamps, I'm going to cash this in for something.
So you get all those credits, but and I see this even with students, non-military students, just don't have that degree plan that says here's what you take first, second, third. This is what you take next. And this is if you do all of these, then you graduate. We just kind of floating out there.
Right. Here's an anticipated grad date. And all that. And if you double down, you can get done twice. All that. And I didn't really pay attention to that. But again, like I said, I had 100-some-odd semester hours and no degree, so school was important. But I learned real quick that school education itself can't be taken from you. It'll open up a lot of doors, so it'll be the reason they're closed. And so for me, the message was loud and clear: go to school.
Gotcha. So you get to the city of Houston, and I think that most people, we've heard of the Veterans Administration. We've heard of, on the federal level, you're talking about veterans. Everyone knows what a vet is. But from a city perspective, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to or really understand that in most cities, there's a mayor's office of Veterans Affairs. Well, that's what we call it here. But there's some sort of division that deals with veterans. What exactly do you do, and what does that office do for the city?
Well, that's true, and I will tell you that I think more cities are beginning to look at this. For this particular office, it's a bridge, if you will. There's a demarcation line between active duty DOD and the VA. And though they do work together as mutually, interested stakeholders in the overall success of that population, we have what's called, you're on the left-hand side of the DD-214, and then you're on the right-hand side of the DD-214. And that DD-214 is really a form that says how you were discharged, right? And so these offices now are beginning to morph, if you will, or grow and expand in its overall operational construct. I think a lot of the offices back when this was in its infancy was a great idea, and it continues to be a great idea. But I think it was more focused on kind of the hearts and minds, some of the social, the visibility aspects of attending retirement ceremonies or commissioning programs, or those sorts of things where the Veterans Day parades and that sort of thing. And we still do that.
Right.
But in today's environment, the role of this office has grown and expanded. We work with the municipal misdemeanor and felony court systems. We, particularly for the veterans, we look at veteran homelessness. We look at a number of those different programs. We deal with federal programs on suicide awareness and prevention. You know, I'd be remiss if it didn't speak to the 20 to 22 a day that on a national average that are committing suicide. And so I'm part of that program as chair for the city of Houston and co-chair for the governor in partnership with Austin as well. We are the two cities, basically representative cities of that. So the programs are much more expansive, much more comprehensive. And while we do the other things as well, those visible things, we're also working behind the scenes with nonprofit organizations, faith-based organizations, veteran service organizations, and that sort of thing, whether they be at the local, state, federal level, to kind of build a much more cohesive, if you will, safety net for these military members, whether they're active duty, guard, reserve, veteran, military-affiliated community of dependent spouses and children.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Last question here. I think it's important. We're in this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. What exactly has the Office of Veterans Affairs done in terms of helping veterans during this particular, I guess you could say, crisis?
Well, obviously everyone's doing kind of remote. We're doing a great deal more conference calls, Zoom, the different things like webinars and that sort of thing. We're doing a great deal of outreach that way. We're also still continue to work with those same organizations I mentioned before. Particularly here in Houston, we have Combined Arms, which is a great organization here, comprised actually of 80, I believe at last count, 80 different organizations. John Borsler over there is running that. And it's comprised of so many different organizations all doing great work, focused on certain areas to support. We work with Harris County as well, Judge Elena Hidalgo's team that she has supported there. And then we also, Robert Dembo, my exec, Robert Dembo.
Dembo, got to get a shout out.
Absolutely. We work with, like I said, the Harris County aspects of it, and also the United Way, and the different organizations that are out there to try to build this out. We just find that we're not so much, with the social distancing aspects of it, we're still doing what we do. We're just doing it in a little different construct, so we're adapting and overcome, much like the military tells you to do. So for us, I don't see it, yes, we're not, it is a pandemic, but we take it in stride. We're just adjusting to the situation and attacking it in a different way.
Okay. All right, everybody out there. Dr. Stephen Hall, Director of the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. Elbow bump. We can't do the, social distance. You just got
virtual.
Actually, it's virtual. Yeah, you can't even bump. You got to just, throw the sign there. So, hey, for Mariana Oyenguren, executive producer, and DJ extraordinaire Terry Carter,
all right.
This is Ted Irvin, and this is HTV Today. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
It's HTV Today, Houston Television's showcase of city government. Let's go.